I want to introduce you to an old friend. This is my Warwick Thumb bass, and I got this bass in 2004 when I was 19 years old. It was actually made in 2003. I know that from the serial number on the headstock, but I've owned her since 2004 when I was 19 years old. And this was not only the first six-string bass that I ever owned, it was the first six-string bass that I ever played. And I had to sell pretty much everything else that I owned in order to buy it. So this was really the only bass that I used for about 10 years. So this got me through the last 2 years of music college and then really the first 8 years of me becoming a musician. I used to take it on tour and it went around the world with me. I mean, it's a heavy bass. Warwick basses tend to be quite heavy. Warwick like to use the exotic tone woods, so there's none of your obvious woods in here like alder or swamp ash or anything like that. The body is made out of, the body and neck actually are made out of a wood called ovencoal, which I'm told is similar in its kind of tonal properties to rosewood. The fretboard is made out of a wood called wenge, and she's really chunky and solid. It's a broad neck string spacing, which means 20mm string spacing between the strings, which is essentially a 4-string string spacing on a 6-string neck. Now that's actually quite unusual. Most companies don't offer that, but I really like it. It's kind of become standard. 18mm now seems to be standard for good 6-string basses, but I love the 20mm string spacing. But it does make her a really big chunky bass, because obviously the neck is big in this direction because of the broad neck string spacing, but it's also really big front to back as well. So it's a big chunky neck, and a lot of people struggle to play her. I think a bass like this really needs to be your number one. You know, if you're gonna play a bass like this, you've got to learn her properly and really know how to use her. But the thing that makes her so extraordinary for me is just the tone. It's that crystal clear tone that you get. If you play her through a good amplifier, you know, you can get that huge low-end sound, but with incredible clarity on the notes. I've never really known another bass that was quite like this. It's a hard thing to put across in a YouTube video, because even if you listen with headphones, it's not quite the same thing as actually hearing it coming out of the amp. So I think sometimes in YouTube videos it can come off sounding slightly trebly because you don't get the sense of that really huge low end. But it's really the clarity in the notes which is so extraordinary. So the notes are so clear that I can really play chords way down into the low register and still get the clarity. So I'm playing an F major chord there with my root note on the first fret of the E string, and I'm still getting you get those real clarity on the notes, and I've never played another bass which is quite like this. She has a crystal clear sound right across her range, and when you play a note she just sustains for days. It's crazy. It almost feels like you've got compression on because the notes just don't fade away, they just ring and ring and ring.